Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well. Now, if you don't recognise this guy, this is a guy called Ben Kentish, and he's usually covered for political editor Theo Sherwood when he was off, and on the odd couple of odd situations, and I think he's done some other being the political editor for some other parts of the show. I've forgotten his real title. I'm sure it'll come to me sometime. But he's started to cover one or two shows, and I've heard him speak, and I've been quite pleasantly impressed by him. And he seems to know his onions, and he talks about this idea that these tax cuts are going to help the poorest in society. Well, he mentions that it doesn't seem to ring true, and then he makes a prediction at the end which is very, very interesting. So let's cue what Ben Kentish has to say.
It's very interesting hearing Helen Barnard from the Joseph Rowntree Foundation there talking about what happens when you cut taxes in the way that Liz Truss is proposing. She said for every £7 that costs, 6 of it goes back to the richest half of the population. Now, that's why I think we need to be very clear that when Liz Truss says that she wants to give money back to people to help them with their bills, by far the biggest proportion of the money she's giving back will go to people who are struggling least with their bills. So I'm not sure tax cuts is the right way to do this, because it's not like everybody pays equal amounts of tax, and the tax rise that she wants to reverse, the hike in national insurance, actually she would benefit wealthier households most. And of course, what we know is that disproportionately it's poorer households that the energy price hikes affect most, because they have to spend a much higher proportion of their income on energy costs. So I don't think tax rises really help many people. Then you get to the fact, of course, that low earners don't pay national insurance, and lots of people who are struggling most aren't in work. Perhaps they're pensioners, perhaps they're unemployed, perhaps they're too young to work. So tax cuts don't really help the people who need it most, do they? That's why more direct support is going to be needed. I would be absolutely staggered. I don't like making predictions because anything, as we've seen, can change. But my prediction would be this. I would be absolutely staggered if Liz Truss wins this leadership contest and more than a month goes by without her having to accept that tax cuts will not be enough and that more support will be needed. She may have this week said no more handouts. I would be absolutely astounded if come the start of October, if Liz Truss is Prime Minister, she hasn't had to announce more direct support for households, because the scale of the challenge that we are facing is so vast that no politician has properly grasped it. But also politically, she will not be Prime Minister for long, nor would Rishi Sunak, unless they do more to help people through this crisis. People will not forget if the government doesn't feel like it's on their side at a time of desperate need when they need it most this winter. So I think there will be more support coming. There will be a lot more support coming, whoever the next Prime Minister is.
Very interesting, isn't it? And yes, it's not the first time I've heard this ruse about tax cuts not going to help the poorest in our society. So she's basically just pandering to is it Alistair Campbell who calls them the old bores in the golf clubs, that reside in Tunbridge Wells, that are having a hard time of it. But yeah, that's very, very interesting. I think I'm inclined to have somewhat of a little agreement with him, because the way things are going, I don't think the tax cuts will be enough, will they? And, well, we've heard stuff, people like Richard Murphy, who's not impressed with them either. So we should be interesting to see. I'll be staggered if there ain't any more help. There has to be, aren't there? Or else it could be civil disobedience for once. I'll be in for a bit of that. Right, I do hope you're all well, and what am I talking about? I shall leave the video here, and until the next time, I shall bid you farewell, and take care.